net. And welcome, friends, to another episode of the At the Net podcast, powered by Tex-Mex Productions. Working the soundboards in the back of the house are our producers, D-Mac and Dave the Brain. Time to say hello to your hosts, Craig Bell and AJ Shabria, as they're about to take us through 3 sets of tennis, talking life and all the news as it seems to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Bell.
All right, thanks to our At the Net podcast girl, Margot Carter, for that. Now, this is Oklahoma Dutch.
Uh-oh.
Ardog? Is that, how do I say that, Nathan? Just to be honest. Friendly, very friendly, convivial. Is it Ardaw?
Sorry,
Ardog. There you go, Ardog. Is this
Ardog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that kind of, see, that's Oklahoma. See, that's a new word. See, right
I
there.
love
See,
it.
you didn't know that,
What's
did you?
the definition?
It's funny or likable or friendly. Convivial.
I can feel it.
Yeah,
I can feel it already.
Yeah, very convivial. See, we're convivial, and so.
And polyglot Craig Bell. I love it.
Yes. So Arda, right? Ardach. He's got. I couldn't quite get the.
Ardig.
Aardig. Oh,
Yes.
now I get it. I was like, what are you guys saying? But aardig, yeah.
Ardig.
There we go.
Yeah, it's like when you're like a friendly person.
There you
like,
go.
A nice, there you go. Yeah.
That's
I
it.
appreciate you saying that. Yeah, thanks.
Ardig.
We always have a word of the day. And
Yeah.
my Oklahoma upbringing doesn't always, the pronunciation lacks a little bit. But anyway, welcome fans of the great game. You are listening to Season 1, Episode 105 At the Net podcast with AJ Chabry. That's you, right?
And Craig Bell next to me.
And we were talking the great game of tennis as
it seems to us.
Thanks also go out to our good amigos at Tex-Mex Productions. That would be one Darian D-Mac McBrayer and Dave the Brain. There was a brain sighting from Pennsylvania a little while ago. Helped me get on here. He's from back of the house who are on the soundboards. No, actually me on the soundboards tonight.
You're producing
Yep.
and co-hosting.
Moving the dials and buttons to make us look like real people, sound like real people. I think we are, aren't
That we are.
Yeah.
Happy to be here, yes.
Okay, also be sure to like and follow us on Facebook. Hopefully we're over on Facebook right now. That's where we're hopefully broadcasting. I'll check here in just a couple of seconds. But also like our work on YouTube and Instagram. Plus check out our work on Fireside, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Breaker, CastBox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify. Boy, I
Good
did it.
list.
That's it. Basically, that's all the important communication sites the kids find popular, right? Is that what they
Absolutely.
find popular these days?
Definitely.
All right, and if you're so inclined to read the opening, like the very convivial and funny, likable Ardach, yeah, right there.
Well
Margot
done.
Carter. Let us know, ladies. Guys, sorry, I'm not going to get that opportunity. We like the ladies better, don't we?
Plenty of dudes on this show, yes.
Well, speaking of Ardach, our guest this evening, or this afternoon, actually, it's this afternoon, evening in your time frame right there, is Nathan DeVere. Welcome, Nathan. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you guys. Looking forward to it.
So happy to have you on the show, Nathan. Thank you.
Yes, Nathan is a mental performance expert who specializes in helping players and athletes master their mind with proven mental strategies. I'm definitely going to be listening on this because I have no mental capabilities whatsoever. Nathan also played D1 college ball up there in the Chicago area at DePaul, the Blue Demons,
Lincoln Park, the Blue Demons. Craig always knows the mascot.
Currently based over in Amsterdam, right? You're over there in Amsterdam these days?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. And he's also got a website and all the stuff. We'll talk about that as we go further into the podcast, and people can figure out where they can contact you and hit your digits and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure you're well informed within the communication social media realm. So, like I said, welcome, and I really look forward to talking with you. I know we've been talking probably a couple of months now. We've been chatting back and forth, so here we are on December the 19th with Nathan. Time flies, and we're looking forward to it. So,
Yeah.
Looking forward to this. Folks at home, 3-set format. In the beginning, we'll talk a little bit about Nathan's background. Then we'll go to his current projects and future projects. Then we'll wrap it up with a lot of fun. Craig Bell will lead this really funny third set. It's an honor to go 3 sets with such a player with such a great pedigree. He played in Georgia for a college called, is it Georgia Gwinnett College?
Yeah, correct.
And then the big time in the Big East, DePaul University in Chicago and Lincoln Park, where I got to see this guy play a little bit. Not actually, I visited the campus, but down here at SMU. And I am curious, how did you get started in the great game of tennis, Nathan, back in Amsterdam?
That's a funny question because I wanted to play soccer actually when I was 5, 6 years old, but I was too young to play soccer. I was about to turn 6 years old, and my mom like saw this ad on like a tennis, I don't know, somewhere, and she's like, "Well, if you sign up for 10 lessons, then you get a free racket." So she was like, "Well, let's just get him on tennis." And that's how I started. And I just fell in love right away. And that's how it started for me.
Gosh, your country has an amazing tradition in soccer. Before you were born in the 90s, there was 80s and 90s. One of my favorite players, Ruud Gullit, played for your team.
For sure. Yeah, great guy. Yeah.
Big legend in your country, and even in broadcasting. So you got started with 10 lessons and a free racket. This was in the 90s, so this is probably a metal racket only this big. Is that right?
Yeah, just a small racket. Yeah, I was just 5, 6 years old, something like that. Yeah.
Excellent. How did you get so good at the game in the 10 years after that?
Yeah, I mean, I just fell in love. I started like to play a little bit more when I was about 8 or 9 years old, a bit more seriously. I started to compete. And then when I was 12 years old, I had to make a decision whether I wanted to go for soccer or for tennis. And I chose tennis, and that's when things got a bit more serious. But like that's where also where I started like to struggle with the mental game as well, because it all got like more serious and everything, with the pressure and the nerves and the negative emotions, etc. I'm sure we can get into. So yeah.
I'd love to get into that any minute. It's probably more important now than ever because there seems to be more of what we're seeing is more early specialization, more mental, I guess I don't want to say illness, but lack of mental health and mental strength, even off the court with the anxiety and the depression epidemic that affects everybody, not just athletes. So I definitely want to get into that. But let's stick with you on the background. Tell us about coming to these States to play college tennis in Georgia and then Chicago. What was it like, and how did you progress so quickly?
Yeah, sure. It was funny because when I went to it was first in Georgia, in Lawrenceville at Georgia Gwinnett College, and my English was not as good, so I kind of struggled. I was kind of like, figuring out where are my classes and everything, and I showed up at 7 a.m. like instead of at 7 p.m. like I wasn't familiar with the times and everything. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it so much. It was a lot of. If I would compare to Europe, I think it was more of a physical, like the focus was maybe not as much on the technical side. Obviously, like when you play college, the coaches like to focus also just not as much like on the small like details with your strokes. But I love the team aspect. It was great. I loved the team. It was a great experience. I learned a lot about myself because I had to be on my own, right? I was 18, 19 when I went to the States. So, it was just a learning curve, like for me, mentally as well. I had some injuries and I had to fight, like to be in the lineup with a great team. I think they're still unbeaten to this day. Like Chase Hutch as the coach, who's still the coach right now, has such an amazing record. So, I just really enjoyed it.
Good. And then how did you go from Georgia Gwinnett College up to DePaul?
Yeah, so I finished my first year, and I was kind of on the edge of the lineup, and I kind of felt like I was ready for something new. I was in touch with Matt Brothers, who's still the coach at DePaul. Before I went to the US, I met him and he saw me play here in Amsterdam actually. So I was still in touch with him, and he was still looking for players. And I'm not sure if he reached out to me or if I was in touch with him, but we connected and felt like a good fit. And I went for it. So.
When you met Coach Matt Brothers, a close friend of mine, did he have the long hair and the beard at the time, or was he all clean cut then?
It's funny because he's had many haircuts over the years. It's been all over. So I think it was long hair with a beard, something like that.
Definitely cool guy and a amazing one-handed backhand. And he's, I think of you Dutch guys. You mentioned you didn't speak English that well. You probably confused 7 o'clock with 19 o'clock, right? Because in Europe, you guys use the big numbers, and here it just turns back around to 7. But I think of all you Dutch guys as tall, and you all speak English well. But you struggle a little bit over here, huh?
Yeah, like me and languages in high school was not a good match. So it was more just me, because I have to say, like people in the Netherlands speak, are very good in English in general.
Outstanding, yeah.
So I think my English throughout the years, it has developed to a decent degree where where I can speak quite fluent, and I'm working now with people all over the world as well. So it's good practice.
Yeah, and of course your English is great. Your communication skills in general have to be remarkable to be a mindset coach. I want to transition from your background into the second set right now, where we get to talk about current and future projects. I'd like to pose a two-part question right now. What are you doing now? And how is that different from all the traditional mental strength training that we've all been familiar with, like rituals, breathing, positive self-talk, and things like that? Maybe you can go with a sort of a two-part answer on that. So tell us what you're doing first.
Sure. Yeah. So as of now, I'm working with competitive tennis players just all over the world, really. Mostly in Europe, in the US. It's just all like online, just like through Zoom, where I have a program with a video training, the coaching calls like this, and a group chat where I stay in touch with them. It's quite intensive, where I want to make sure I can help all of the players that I work with in the best possible way, for them to get, the confidence or the ranking or the results like that they are looking for. So that's just kind of a big overview of the program. Yeah.
Good. And then the second part of the question, tell us a little bit about how it's not the same old thing.
Sure. Yeah. So just maybe to give like a little bit of background, which might be helpful for like the people who listen as well.
I would love that.
So when I used to struggle with my mindset a lot. It started when I made the decision when I chose tennis and I quit with soccer. And that was like a time for me where it all got more serious. I started to throw up, hyperventilate on tennis courts. I mean, you name it. It was not great. And I read all these books, and I started to work with all these mental coaches as well. And I had some results, and once I started to learn more and more, I realized most of the traditional mental training or sports psychology was a bit outdated. I noticed it didn't help for me, and also with the players that I was working with. So I realized I need to go deeper. And when I work with players, I differentiate two parts, which is the conscious mind, which you analyze with, you make decisions with, and then there's the unconscious mind, or the subconscious mind, you can call it. And that's basically where all of the memories are stored. The fears, the frustrations, the shame, or these embarrassments, all of these emotions that are being triggered when you step out there on the court, especially in a match, right? Especially when it matters, when you're out there. And what I realized over time is that most of the traditional sports psychology, I don't want to say it's bad, right? It's a great start if you want to work on your mindset, but in order to make a real transformation, I realized you need to work on the subconscious mind in order to make a lasting transformation, and also to make a bigger transformation. Because if you work like just one example that many tennis players tell me, they play a match and they say, it doesn't matter. it is just a match, or it's okay if I lose, or like see it like a practice match. But they say it on a conscious level, but deep down they're like, no, it does matter. Well, I don't want to lose, and it's kind of like they're lying to themselves in a subtle way, and that's a bit of a conflict. And then the subconscious mind, or those feelings, they control the thoughts. So like you basically end up losing those battles, which creates more of a doubt in yourself. Hey, I'm not able to change. This is just the way I am, and that's just really something. Like my goal is really to make a difference in this space where, I want to help tennis players where it is possible to make a change and a lasting change.
Oh, it's wonderful. When you talk about the conscious mind and then the subconscious or unconscious mind, I can't help but think of one of the genius books that I read probably in 6th grade or so. This is like 1980, maybe 1979, The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galway. He talked about self one and self two. How did a book like that influence your development as a mindset coach?
Yeah, phenomenal book. Many people have read it, and
I didn't really get it until about the 8th time I read it. That's when self two.
Yeah.
You can read?
It's
wow. I didn't know. We didn't learn reading until like high school in Oklahoma. No.
There are so many like layers to it as well. And, like it's, for some people, like when they read it, it might be sort of shift or a click. And I do have to say, like, it's a phenomenal book. By the way, for the people who are listening, there's also a second book about the inner game of tennis. And most of the people and coaches are not aware of this, but I'm not sure if it's still on Amazon. I have it actually here. And it's even better, I think, because it talks a bit more about the practical side and how to apply it, because that's like also some of the feedback I've heard from many players that which was missing maybe like a little bit. But I think it's actually also like the purpose of Timothy Galway, why he wrote the second book, because that was like some of the feedback that he received. But yeah, it's a phenomenal book. It really helped me to get an understanding. And it's just been after the book, I've just kind of, he has a formula actually that I've kind of updated after experimenting with certain things, how your performance equals the potential that you have minus the mental interference, which I go into in depth when I work with players. And a phenomenal book, a timeless book. So,
tremendous. You mentioned the practical side as his second volume. Let's come back to you and talk about the practical sides. We've got a great question from a very strong player and a brilliant coach named Nick Smith. He asks a question that I wanted to ask. Give us a couple of examples of what you feel are techniques in the mental training space that are considered outdated.
Sure. So for instance, some affirmations or a mantra where you tell yourself, hey, you've got this, be confident, be positive. And it can help to a degree, right, where you bring yourself a little more to like, if you have let's say like a scale of how you feel, like this is like your energy. If you raise up your energy like a little bit, it can help. But again, sometimes what happens is then like if you make a mistake or if there is a big point, like what players call a big point, I say with the quotations because I help players realize as well, is it really a big point? I help them to question the ideas that the tennis world has been teaching us about, because when you look at the facts really objectively, it is just a point. But it's the meaning that we associate to the experience that is making us feel a certain way. And if we place, or like if we perceive it in with a distortion, really, let's say like we create the distortions with our thoughts. I'll keep it short because I can rant on this all day. But by being able to question what we think is true we come to new realizations. Like, okay, is it actually a big point? Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just a point, because it's not a more valuable point than like maybe another point in the game, right? You can disagree or agree, but like, I mean, you need 4 points in a game, unless you go up to deuce and etc. But I helped them really to go a little bit deeper, to question some of the beliefs or the ideas that we believe in on a subconscious level. Because if you tell yourself, hey, you've got this, just be positive, or you do like breathing exercise, that's maybe like another a thing that you do. Again, like it can help in a moment, right? Like maybe like you feel a bit of the tension go away. But then again, when you play that big point, the pressure will rise again. And then, so you kind of work on the service level, on the symptom, I'd like to say. Whereas I like to go a little bit deeper, and because what if you can reduce the symptom or even let go like of the fear in the first place? Obviously, you know that it's a process. I tell players, I would love to give you like this magic pill and you're just fixed, but it's a process, right? So like you need the tools before you step on the court, because winners win in advance. That's just kind of a statement I have. But also when the pressure does arise, or the emotions or the doubts, you know, like which happens to everyone, right? It's just human. Then also you need to have the tools and the mind and the strategies to be able to deal with that with confidence as well. So you can let go of that and it doesn't linger around for a set, but maybe just a couple of points. So you can get right back to it. If that kind of makes sense.
It certainly does, yeah. I love your line. I'm sure you've said it many times, that winners win in advance.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Let's say, let's take a 3-set match. Maybe it's 2 sets, hopefully, but maybe it's 3. How does this subconscious knowledge and subconscious perspective of it's another point or it's another game or another set, how does that help one of your players navigate the ups and downs in a tennis match while the opponent is also having ups and downs?
Yeah, so it's important to focus on yourself, but also at the same time to focus on the other side, right? Like you can get so focused on yourself where you like sort of, you try to get yourself in, for instance, in the zone, like where you feel really confident and focused. But at the same time, if your strategy is poor, then then you know it doesn't really help. I mean, if you are in the zone, usually you tend to see more things, because like it's also like what I tell players, you know, like your technique can be perfect, your strategy can be perfect, your footwork or your balance can be all smooth. Usually in practice it's better, right? But then in a match, if you want to translate all of the skills that you have in practice to a match, you need to have the mindset as a foundation for that. Because if the pressure takes over in the nerves, for instance, or the emotions, our timing gets worse. We are hesitant, like we don't want to go for shots, or we go for too much. We're like impatient and like we want to get rid of the point. Our timing, our balance is off. And sometimes we focus, that's also one of the other examples, like we focus on that, like, oh yeah, you know, I feel my timing is off, I need to move better, or I need to focus on the ball better, etc. Those are great things, obviously, you know, like I don't want to say that's bad at all, but it must be combined, or that's my invitation for players and for coaches to do it also with a calm and focused state of mind, because that allows you to unlock all of the skills that you have been working for so long.
That's great. I'm going to be very selfish here and talk about my journey, and then I'm going to flip it to you. My journey, sure. As you know, a kid with some talent. For me, it was, gosh, I was too calm, and I got caught. And I'm talking about inside a point, not necessarily inside a match. I got caught near the tee when, gosh, I'm such a good volleyer when I'm inside, right? That hesitation happened because I was not amped up enough. There have been times in my tennis also where I really want to break now. It's time. I have read the amazing book by Bill Tilden. Even in juniors, I read it a couple times. It's called Match Play and the Spin of the Ball. It is not probably on Amazon unless you can find a used copy for $400 or whatever. But what a fantastic book. And he made a huge deal that the fourth game, the seventh game, the ninth game, I felt like that energized me, but it stressed me a little. And I was like, damn it, I didn't break on that fourth one. I didn't hold on the seventh one. I'm going to lose this. When really, dude, I'm at 4-5. I have every chance to win this set just like that guy does. I wish I had that perspective. How do you characterize somebody, or diagnose is probably a good word, somebody who is too chill or too amped? How do you help them navigate that?
Sure, yeah. Do you want to use your situation as an example? I think it might be nice. We just shared.
I have a black leather sofa. I will sit down and lie down on it, doctor. And yeah, let's use me. Go for it.
Sure. So I mean, and this is also a bit like where I'm not sure when this book was being written, and I'm sure there are great things in it. Like, I never want to downplay anyone. I respect everyone. I think it's great, everyone who's putting out all this content about the mental game. But just like to share an insight that might be helpful.
Please, yes.
When you focus on, let's say, okay, the fourth game is an important game, and listen to the language as well that I'm using. Important, like the seventh game is an important game, the ninth is an important game. Whenever we place, or the mind is placing importance on just anything, we immediately create some tension, some pressure. And some players, like I say, like we need a bit of this pressure, but I actually don't agree with that. Because what I've noticed is that, let's say, I could use the example, like if I grab my mail, then it's not that I don't care, but it's not that I'm super stressed. If I grab my mail, I walk to it, I have an intention, I grab it, and there's no resistance. Like, I don't get super tight by grabbing the mail. I just grab it, boom, and you're in flow. And sometimes there is a bit of a misconception that I hear from so many tennis players. I just need to be more energized. But then, I hear a struggle from tennis players as well, that it takes up so much energy to be positive all the time, to amp myself up all the time. And it's really about finding the balance. Like, when I work with players, I use this as a metaphor. So this will be on YouTube and Facebook, right? So people can see me on my screen. It's not that I'm, or I guess I'm on the podcast, but if people can't see me, I'm holding my arm in the middle here, right? So on one side of it, we create too much tension, or pressure to do well, to succeed, or maybe on the flip side, we don't want to lose, we don't want to mess up, or maybe have someone judge us, right? On the flip side of the coin, on the other side of the line, is who cares? It doesn't really matter. And it's about, how do we find that balance where here, we open the gateway to the flow, or the zone, or however you want to call it, where we're just in the focus, super confident. And that's really the balance of where you give it your all and you feel you deserve to win. But at the same time, you can be completely okay with losing, with all of the things that the mind wants to avoid. So that's really the balance you are looking for, and this is the progress, a never-ending progress. That I also maybe an insightful thing for players. It's not with the mental game. For those who haven't really started with it, the way I see it is it is just a serve, almost. You don't skip your serve for a month or so because you feel my serve is okay, or my serve is not going that well, but I'm just gonna. But it's what are you trying to get to? Like, you want to win more? Well, how many matches have you won or lost based on your mindset, right? So from that perspective, it's like, okay, this is, an important thing. And it's like a never ending process. Like, whether you start at level 0 or level 20, like you can go up to like 1,000 almost. Like, there's just no end to it. So I hope this inspires players and coaches to realize how much potential and joy also you can unlock by really learning to tap into that one.
I'm so impressed and happy you used the word joy. A lot of people kind of stop at happy, and joy means so more. Joy in competing, joy in fighting, joy in performing, joy in even losing and learning. Tell us how you unlock the word joy and how you communicate that in a lot of your players.
Yeah, that's such a great question.
It's huge.
I think it's so important for so many players, especially at a young age. Also, like for parents who are listening, please, I want to always invite people, I never want to force people, but like to prioritize enjoyment for players, like especially at a young age, and especially like with what we have going on right now, like with the lockdowns and the corona and whatnot, that they can find a sense of joy in what they're doing, make it fun. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought for 1 second, but you said, how do I spark the joy in players, right?
Yeah, how do you unlock it? How do you spark it? And how do you communicate it?
Communicate, yeah, sure, yeah. Well, first of all, like when I coach players, I love to coach. So I try to convey the belief that I have in them, the energy that I have in them. Also, I accept them for who they are. Like sometimes, like they always feel like they're being judged, and maybe like it's not even the case, but like they feel like, I can't be nervous. I have to show up like as this confident person. But in order to really address some of the patterns, some of the mental blocks or these emotions, we need to be vulnerable with ourselves. It's the only way to really open up, because like you have to see it like this, like the joy is already within. And some players, they tell me, I just have to be more positive. And that's also just an idea to question, is that really true? Because usually what's happening is that we have to let go of the frustration, of the judgment, of the pressure. And once we do, sort of like this joy just kind of naturally arises. And that's what I've experienced. It's already within everyone. And if you're not experiencing it right now, it means that it's just some clouds in the way. I like to use that as a metaphor. Like it's just kind of raining maybe, but the sun is behind it, right? So
it's
like,
right there.
Like we just have to, and we just have to acknowledge some of the clouds and, be vulnerable with ourselves, which I think is a positive thing. Like it's not a weak thing, a bad thing. It's actually a powerful thing. Like, hey, to acknowledge, like, hey, I did feel a little bit nervous, or hey, I was a bit worried what he or she was thinking of me. And if players have a space for them to open up, that's when all of the potential, all of the freedom and joy can be unlocked. And the results just take care of themselves. So
that's great. The words "be positive" is so funny. It takes me back to the, I think, mid or early '90s. I saw a training session. John McEnroe was involved. One of the coaches was telling him, "You got to be more positive. You got to be positive." And the look John gave that guy was not positive.
yeah, it's so funny.
Was that a Freudian slip?
I think so. Dr. Freud, yeah.
Sigmund Freud said that.
Yeah, be positive.
Yeah, be positive. He really didn't mean to be positive, right?
Never.
No.
Funny.
That's funny. I think he mentioned also that after his career even as well, because many players said, well, he was quite angry, but he still played pretty good, right? And if you're kind of like, well, if you're getting angry, but you still play good, then, there's maybe not as much of a motivation. But he shared after his career as well, if I was more calm and present, I would have played better. And I think that's important to distinguish, so there's just no way around it.
No way around it. Good stuff. I want to ask a question. This may fall flat, but I'm going to be vulnerable and ask this question. It's partially inspired by a fan comment. It is how, well, I'm going to get to the soccer one. You grew up playing soccer and, of course, tennis. Do you coach people from other sports on the mindset? And how has your soccer background helped you in this profession?
Yeah, great question. I used to work more with other athletes as well. Sometimes I still do, but my main focus is on tennis players. That's what I specialized in. That's where my biggest passion is, and so that's what I mainly do with with competitive ITF, college and pro is kind of like the to be more specific. And how has it helped me? I offer group coaching, and at the moment, like, I'm creating an environment as well for players where they can empower each other, inspire each other, and be vulnerable with each other as well. Because usually on the tennis court, like especially in college, and you don't tend to share like with your teammates, like, oh man, I got nervous, or like you don't really share what you feel as insecure about, because like you're a guy, right? Like, I mean, I got this, like, or it's and I think like it's becoming more accepted to to show your emotions and to speak up about your insecurities and things like that. But like back to my point, I have created like a community where players can really be immersed in that environment like all the time, because when I coach them, I realize, like they go back to their parents, to their coaches who might not be as aware of the mental game. And also actually, if they are open to it, I help them as well, like to guide their kid or their player with the mental game, how they can best support them. But I guess I've get maybe some experience that I've had as a soccer player, and just like looking at other team sports as well, how I can integrate that into the group coaching and really create this environment of success, momentum, joy, and everything what they want. So
good stuff, Nathan. Two more fan questions before we get to the before we wrap the second set. One is not a live one. And then the other, I'm going to go with the live one right now. Rick Eckloff, frequent listener and a competitive middle-aged guy who is asking, he says, the flip side of that earlier question, how do we remove the agony of defeat? There's no need to remove the thrill of victory, right? But the agony of defeat is what he's asking about. Tell us how you help them.
Yeah, great question. I actually shared a vulnerable post on my Facebook for those who are interested. I share content there as well. When I lost, this was 2 weeks ago in a UTR tournament. I lost against a guy with a 6-1, 6-1, and I think I named it something like how to not lose your confidence after a match like that, because that's sometimes what happens, right? Like it gets in your head, like you think about all of the negative. All the things you did wrong, and etc. And if we repeat that, and if we emotionalize that, that's how a memory is being formed in the subconscious body. So, and this is just neuroscience, right? So once you realize, like, hey, if I repeat a negative thought over and over again, and if I emotionalize that as well, it's not really helpful. So it starts with prioritizing your mindset and making it a commitment to yourself, like, hey, I'm not going to allow all of the negative like the thoughts and feelings to continue to go by and to dwell on them after I lose, for instance, right? And just to, I mean, it's okay if they come up, like you don't want to push them away, but observe them and learn to catch them. And then, like, hey, don't dwell on them, just allow them, and then focus on, okay, once you allow them, you know, some more energy free up, and then you can focus, okay, what can I learn? Okay, maybe it didn't go the way I want. You know what did I learn? Like, you know, and see if you can actually get like emotionalized that, even like get excited about the things that, yeah, you can learn, like, and do better the next time, right? It's easy when you like, you know, when you win with six love,
Yeah,
you know,
quick.
like it'll be boring, right? So it's almost like maybe I like want to lose to a degree, because it's like, hey, you know, you get to learn more, and that's also why we're here. So that's also where your priorities come in. Is winning really a priority for you? And if yes, is it serving you? Is it the game you want to be playing in your head? Because, you know, if you win, you feel great, but if not, you feel bad, and you want to always make sure that you can remain a sense of confidence regardless of what's happening. I know it was a bit of a rant, but I hope that answered the question.
It answered it early and then at the end, too. Thank you. Thank you for thoroughly answering. Thank you. This is a question not live, but sort of like winning is done in advance. Winners win in advance. Sometimes a question is burning in two or three sources, two or three parts of maybe my life, too, or people who I mentor. One of the important ones that I really wanted to ask you is, how do you help players who generally have technique, footwork, timing, physical, tactical, everything's, like you said, really, really good. Sometimes a player might struggle with an opponent who is ultra negative or just outlier positive, or like energetic, like crazy. And how do you help people play their own friends and do your best to let them find that zone, or that not this, and we've all been here, and not this, and we've all been here, and I've been both, but this. How do you help them do that against friends?
Sure. So you want me to ask all three questions, or
Yes,
one question?
your timing. This is why I like to do the three, two or three. Yeah.
It's funny because like maybe like the players who become really negative, it's kind of they tend to become super positive as well. Like it's just the flip side of the coin, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like the same thing, and it all stems from how they perceive the match or the experience, whether it's maybe if more people are coming to watch, right? Maybe like their parents, where they want to do well, or maybe like someone, you know, a coach who they want to impress for college, whatever the case may be. So it all starts with the perception, right? That is inaccurate. So like, it's not about, oh, I shouldn't worry too much about it. It's actually, okay, like, well, what is the perception that you have about your coach, or about the parents, or about the match? And is that true? That if you lose, for instance, that it is the end of the world, or that like what's on the line for you really, right? And I go into that more deeply and see what is really triggering these sensations on a subconscious level, right? Because it's all just happening on autopilot. And I help them to learn to let go of that, so they can be more present and be less emotional, and allow the potential, what you said, to be unlocked. When they play a friend, you know, like it's always like a bit of it depends on the player. Like it's like, oh, if you feel bad for beating your friend, then yeah, can you be okay with your opponent, your friend, being disappointed, right? This is where it can be helpful, like to almost create like a bit of a different identity, like sort of, okay, you know, on the tennis court, you're not his friend anymore. You're the tennis player, like you're like the elite tennis player, the confident version of you, who you want to be, and that's who you adopt. And every time when the friend's thought, personality kind of comes in, and you see him as your friend, just no, he's not on the court. Outside of the court, he's your friend. That's just like a fun little sort of metaphor you can use that works, because we all live up to the identity, to the personality that we believe ourselves to be. And that's also just sort of a mental kind kind of concept, you can recreate yourself to a degree, and unlock more of your potential that way. So.
Good stuff. And the way you answer, thank you, by the way, for navigating both, because I felt like they were related questions. And I love the way you answered it. And it spoke to the word mindset, meaning setting your mind with these values, which I think is a better word than something like just mental strength or mental toughness, which is, those are the kind of the words that I grew up with in the 80s as a junior, in the 90s as a player. So thank you for answering that in those ways. Can you tell us, and maybe you can use the word mindset a little bit also, when you tell us about future projects? We know and love the work you're doing. I feel like a stronger player already, having spent the second set here with you. But tell us a little bit about what the future holds for your company and your practice.
Yeah, as a tennis player, after college I played futures for a little bit. Then I went more into coaching and the mindset coaching as I'm doing right now. And I recently played some UTR tournaments, and I feel like I'm actually improving a good amount due to my mindset also. It's funny because I hear sometimes certain players who played pro and then they stopped and then they played better while they are practicing less due to the pressure that they don't place on themselves anymore. And I also just noticed for myself, hey, I'm actually improving a lot more just because I'm letting go of the mental, of the emotions and the doubts and the things like that. So I actually, for myself, I love to travel, maybe if that's an option, with the current situation, where this is all is going. Because right now, yesterday actually, we heard, we have a full a lockdown again. So just got to be patient, and but a good opportunity to work on the mental game. In regards to the business side and the mindset coaching and all that, it's I just would love to just continue with what I'm doing, just to make it even better, help more players, So
Nathan,
really.
Nathan, good stuff. As we wind down the second set, tell us how people can get a hold of you and your company.
Sure, yeah. They can email me at nathandevere@gmail.com. Actually, for all of the people who tune in, I'm willing to give away, I have a tennis success a questionnaire, or a test that where you have all these questions where you can learn more about how your mind is wired and how it compares to some of the best players.
Oh my God, I love taking tests. I'm going to be here. You're the first guy clicking on this.
Sure, yeah. If you email me with at the net with your name, to Nathan Devere, and you spell it with, for those, with my weird Dutch name, with Nathan, with THANDEVEER at gmail.com. Just at the net podcast with your name, then I know you've listened to this, and I'll send it over, and just as a bonus, I'm happy to give you some feedback, some personalized feedback on it as well. If you email it back, and I can just give you some suggestions on what you can work on and improve upon. So that's just, I guess, the best way to get a hold of me. On Instagram, I have an account as well. It's called Tennis Mindset Coach.
Yeah, I saw it today.
Tennis Mindset Coaches. Yeah.
Brilliant. That sounds great. Nathan, this is a question actually for my esteemed co-host, Craig Bell. Craig, do you have students who might be able to use mental training?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I was going to ask Nathan, what do you do about a podcast kind of partner friend that you think likes you but really doesn't like you? No.
Say it again. Sorry, what was the question?
No, I was just joking. No, I just said that my podcast partner sometimes I know doesn't like me. What do I do about that? How do I engage him when he's not very nice to me? You know, it makes me feel bad. No,
you slap him. No, just kidding.
Okay.
No. What do you do?
No, we do have.
Just be nice. Just be nice. Come on, guys.
Just be nice, guys. Come on.
No, I mean, we definitely have players out there. You know, we're both, or AJ and I know you probably dealt with some amateur players, and sometimes, you know, the mental game is just as important as the physical game. I mean, they're really, you know, they struggle sometimes, you know, some of my ladies' teams, and I think a lot of it is the mental side of the game, not so much the physical side of the game, because, you know, in pressure situations, you know, for a lot of them, which is coming up in some league tennis we've got here in a couple of months. I'm trying to work with them on recognizing certain situations, but also I'm going to start throwing in the mental side of the game as well, that you know, you can't beat up your partner, you know, especially in doubles. You know, I'm trying to tell that to AJ.
That was kind of the.
You know, he's not. Yeah. You know, he's quite not getting that. I just want, now that we have a mental expert on the program with us, I just wanted to make sure that you know, that's if you have, you know, somebody like that. I'm not just saying it's AJ, but I'm just saying if you have a friend, you know. But on the court, actually, it really is. I mean, there's no question. You know, I've seen people give looks to people, and, you know, it's like, boy, if looks could kill, you know, there's some.
Absolutely.
And we work in that world as country club tennis pros, mostly with ladies teams, and I think, you know, you're spot on a lot. I've been listening a lot to what you're saying. I think that I'm definitely going to start trying to incorporate a little bit more. I don't have them this Monday, but I have them next Monday. You know, some people, and I'm going to start throw some things out there. You know, again, on the mental side, you know, of the kind of what to do, what not to do type situation, because I think, you know, what you're saying, not only is yourself important, but it's also important, you know, for the team, that you know, people think about how your mindset or personality also influences the other teammate on the court, I would say. Wouldn't you, Nathan?
Yeah, it's. I'm glad you bring this up. I had a question from a tennis player I'm working with. Was 2 days ago, or yesterday actually, on a call, and he noticed that his partner was a little bit negative, and he wasn't as aware of it beforehand. But once, like, we started to work together, like, he became more aware of his own mindset, but also of his partner, and, like, he realized the self-talk from his partner, like, oh man, you know, like, what if we lose? And, like, oh, it's because of this. And, like, he started, like, to blame certain things. And he kind of let it go. Like, he was just kind of accepting of his partner. And, you know, that's obviously not a bad thing to do. And it's important, like, when you are a couple, like, you want to work as a team, right? And get the most out of each other. So what I always suggest, and what I suggested to my private client as well, is that something I'd like to do is, before you step on the court, communicate how you like to communicate with each other. If you know from the past, like, hey, I do get, like, a little bit more triggered if this happens, or maybe, like, if you say this to me, like, maybe, you know, like, you are trying to help your partner and you say, like, hey, you've got this, man, like, but what if your partner's like, no, I don't, so, like, I missed another shot, right? For instance, and like, it could work in a completely different way than you intend to, and you need to communicate and meet them where they're at. Maybe they'd like you to say, just say nothing, or maybe they'd love for you to say, like, hey, it was a great intention, you know, can I give a suggestion, like, maybe for next time just play with a bit more spin, and or maybe, like, just to communicate with each other, like, hey, you know, if is it okay, like, if I give you some feedback every now and then, you can give me some feedback as well. And if you can be vulnerable and lead by example, like, hey, sometimes, like, I get a little bit, I don't know, insecure because, like, I don't want to feel sort of responsible for losing, and because I feel like you're maybe a better player. That can be sometimes kind of a thing, like, where they feel a little bit more guilty. And just by talking about it kind of opens up the conversation. But just, like, in general, I would always invite players, like, to discuss this beforehand, because in the heat of the moment, you know, like, you forget, or like you say things maybe that could trigger another person. And if you're kind of on the same page, then, and again, winners win in advance, you are prepared. You're prepared, you rehearse it, you know what you can expect from each other, and learn and iterate, right? It's a process. Like it's not going to be all perfect right away. So hope it helps.
Nathan, it does. So much of your advice applies to aspiring college and pro players. The crowd that Craig described, country club players, certainly people who used to play at a high level and now are trying to hang in there. And forget sports. I feel like winners win in advance, and having this mindset and finding that joy, even though there's a cloud right there, knowing that the joy is there, this helps people forget sports. Students, people in their professional lives, and just people navigating that little bit of anxiety and depression that can hit anybody at any morning or any evening or whatever. So thank you for covering these. Without further ado, I want to get to the third set with you. Craig Bell, you've got a nice slate of fun stuff here.
Oh, we always do. But just to reiterate, I was just thinking that, some people might not like the upbeat personality. Some people might like more the direct approach. I'd never thought about that, because I try to be pretty positive for the most part, but then sometimes, some of my partners, might not necessarily want all the sunshine, and they want a little bit more direct approach, like, hey, a little kick in the shorts as opposed to a pat on the back every now and then. But I think you made me think about something that really, I think is really interesting on the amateur side that I deal with in my daily basis, is the psychology of tennis from a standpoint that, because I'm going to ask them, it just really made me think about what do you all like as a conversation with your partner during a match, because I think that's really important, especially on the amateur side, that people know going in there, AJ, I can always kick him in the shorts. He never needs a pat, never needs a pat on the back. I always got to kick him in the shorts for some reason, but it's just the way it is. But no, I think you're right. You're on to something right there. So thank you. I appreciate that, because you really got me thinking.
Sure.
Yep. So third set.
Glad to.
Now this is sponsored by our good buddy Blair Descaray with Master Systems. Blair D has all sorts of great stuff for tennis, court resurfacing, to all sorts of nets and
sport
products.
Courts, pickleball, basketball.
He might even go over to Amsterdam and lay a court down, maybe. If the price is right? He might come over and see you guys over there in the world, over on the across the pond. But if you're looking for some products, that accessories, that kind of stuff, see our good buddy Blair Descaray with Master Systems. All right, Nathan, ready? All right, we're going to go three sets in the third set also too. I've got some questions. Are you a music guy? Do you like music?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. First band you saw in concert?
U2 in Chicago.
Oh, wow,
really?
In Chicago.
Really?
United Center indoors?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
Wow. Which tour was that? I'm trying to think which.
Atomic Bomb Tour?
Ooh, good question. Maybe. It was in the United Center. I forgot the name of the tour. But yeah, it was awesome.
Right. So you said you're a music guy, and if you could hear a band, is there a band that you haven't heard that you'd like to hear, maybe? Coldplay. Interesting. Okay. Would you like to see them like it in Amsterdam, or maybe at Wembley in England, or where would you like to see Coldplay? Chris Martin and the gang.
Chris Martin, yeah. Here in Amsterdam would be awesome.
Yeah.
Anywhere, it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite band? Coldplay?
My favorite band? Yeah, I like Coldplay a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody else that you threw out there? Do you like any EDM? I just learned about EDM, last week.
Electronic dance music. Look at him go.
Dance music. Yeah, I like Avicii, just kind of that kind of stuff.
Avicii, we used Avicii for one of the stories yesterday, promoting this very episode,
Is that
I think it was Wake Me Up is what we used.
Really?
It's one of those inspiring songs, and the lyrics, I thought, Mindset Coach with Wake Me Up. I
thought
love
that
it.
was Wham! Wake Me Up Before You Go. That's like an 80s song. I guess that wasn't it, huh?
Craig, you went from EDM and being the hippest 61-year-old I know to a Wham reference in 10 seconds.
Wow.
This is why he thinks I don't like him.
All right, now, Nathan, if you were in a band, let's say you might be in a band. We don't know, but if you could be any position in the band, would you be a? This is what we think. Really sets people's mental capabilities and process. And most we have an idea where tennis people want to sit in the band. Would you be a lead singer? Would you be the guitar player, piano player, drummer, glockenspiel player like me? I play a mean glockenspiel. I do play the glockenspiel. So, what do you think, Nathan? Where is Nathan DeVere in the band?
I'll be the lead singer.
I knew it. I knew it. Absolutely. I thought maybe piano. I've seen the hands on this guy, the skinny long fingers. I thought, he could probably play guitar and piano, but singer. I love it.
So are you a Bono type of front man? Are you a Jagger? Are you Freddie Mercury, David Lee from the great Van Halen days? Or what kind of what kind of lead singer are you?
That's funny. Chris Martin.
Okay.
Chris.
No, that's okay.
He even looks a bit like Chris.
He does. I was going to say
the hair.
I was going to suggest Chris
hair,
Martin.
the beard,
But I know he's a piano player.
He's
mostly.
an amazing pianist, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's really, really good. All right, second set of this process here. First paid job. What was were you a paper boy there in Amsterdam throwing the Amsterdam Daily News or,
I was teaching tennis at a very young age, to even younger kids. So yeah.
Oh, no kidding, really? How old were you?
15-ish, maybe.
Oh, wow. You're already starting it out young, man. 15, that's...
Love it.
Yeah, I didn't start till I was in my 20s, teaching tennis. But 15, hey, kudos on
Awesome.
that. Was that a local club there in the Amsterdam area?
Yeah, just like in a suburb, where I grew up.
Yep. Did you work and play there both? Were you a member there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's really cool. Favorite movie, TV shows? Do you do Netflix? Hulu, Roku, or do you just watch?
Favorite movie? I guess movies with a meaning, like The Pursuit of Happiness, like movies like that. I like a lot. But also, I don't watch a lot of shows at the moment, really. Sometimes some movies, documentaries. I love the one of Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. That was a great one.
Yeah.
8 Mile Road by Eminem. Stuff like that. So.
Oh, really? Yeah. I remember seeing that. Are you a rapper then? Can you rap like Eminem?
No, don't try. That's not a good fit.
You're not freestyling? Isn't that what they call freestyling? I think that's it.
No, my sister can sing a little bit, but no, that's not me.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Which is your favorite meal, time of day? Breakfast?
Dinner.
Dinner, okay. So are you going the native Dutch dinner or more of a what AJ eats? He eats a bunch of burgers and fries from McDonald's.
Fries and burgers all day. No. I do intermittent fasting, so I don't really do a breakfast actually since about a year or so from now. So just lunch and dinner.
Yep.
Or sometimes I guess a breakfast at noon or something like that. Just try to eat healthy as an athlete, right? And just so I'm energized and everything. But so I try to keep it healthy. I'm not a big fan of cooking, to be honest. But
Okay, that's a good answer. All right, now we're going to follow up with a little bit on this dinner type of thought process. Now, we call it a soiree or a shindig or a hoedown in Oklahoma. Now, we know there's some dinner guests that might be involved in this, and Nathan DeVere's inviting people over to his place, and we know AJ and I will get involved with this thing and get the invite. But who are some other people that you might like to invite? It can go from Adam and Eve all the way forward, or maybe even people who haven't been born.
Yeah, you can go any era, literature, sports, acting, fictitious characters, whatever you like.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
There we go.
Right. Who'd be some dinner guests or some shindig guests?
Gosh, where do we go with that?
Right.
Well, Roger Federer.
The best.
There. Who else? Maybe like Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Who else?
We've had some interesting guests. Nelson Mandela's popped on, and definitely the King has popped on a few times. Mm-hmm. Anybody from the psychology world? Like a Sigmund Freud or somebody like that?
Yeah, from the psychology world. Tony Robbins, I think would be fun. Would be cool.
Yep.
He'd pump us up.
We'd bring a trampoline for right before dinner.
Right.
Right. Yeah. He's worked with like the best of the best, and with U.S. presidents and whatnot. So yeah, it would be awesome to meet him. I mean, I went actually to one of his workshops, of his seminars in Chicago, where I walked across fire, which was pretty cool.
Really?
No kidding. Wow.
And so that was where you like it's kind of a mental thing as well, like
sure.
Where you have to look up and there are burning coals in front of you, and you just have to get yourself into state, and then just march over it. So wow, that was kind of a cool experience.
That is amazing.
Yeah, you're our first firewalker. I'm interested in that.
That's so cool. You did it.
So how long did you mentally have to set yourself in a space? Not obviously in the present, but you had to do something in order to make, was it the heat and then the pain? I mean, you just went to a different place, right? Is that?
Yeah, it's funny because here's the thing, you see so many people walk across those coals, right? And you're even an older lady is doing it, and you kind of think I'm just sort of this athlete. But then you're right in front of it, and then you're kind of okay, I can sort of just kind of mess around here, right? Because you want to make sure you are in state, what he calls it. And I remember it very vividly. It was pretty dark. It was late at night, and we just went over there with thousands of people. It's huge. He does an amazing job, and first you get yourself into state by changing your physiology with your breathing, with your posture. You actually have to look up. So you don't want to be focused on the coals, because it creates a sort of a fear response within the body, which puts you into a lower energy, which makes you more vulnerable to the heat. So you want to increase your energy, and you can do it with two ways. You can bring yourself into a really empowered state of mind, where you just go, okay, I'm gonna do this no matter what. But he wanted us to focus up in the sky and say, cool boss, cool boss, cool boss, cool boss, cool boss, and just go for it. Don't sort of just run over it like you're afraid, just kind of just keep up the pace and just go over it. There are people, this is a bit more spiritual, where you really enter a state of Zen, you can call, where you kind of have a self-realization, where you enter a state of peace. This is where it's into just to keep it in simple terms, and a really meditative state of mind, where you kind of are able to walk over certain things like that as well. But he kind of went the way with just the empowered kind of cool boss, and that's how I did. So
that's how many steps do you take? How many is it? 10 feet, 15, 20, 4 feet? I
think 10 feet or so. So okay. It's 6 steps, something like that. So
did anybody that you were associated with, did anybody burn their feet, or did everybody make it like you?
I think everyone made it. They have some cold water and things ready as well. So there's some people ready. So it's real as well. It's not they're just messing around. Then you see the coals they get they become orange as well. So you see them from black to orange. You see the heat kind of coming off from the. So it's not that it's just it's just black coals. They're really they're hot. So you want to be in state, and I think when you're there as well, you don't want to sort of mess around. Even though I had a thought, because I remember it, I walked over and I was everyone is just kind of doing it, right? But then, when you're out there, like when you're about to enter, like there's also actually a guy who makes some eye contact, like who makes sure you're ready, but like, just kind of like there, just kind of standing there, like you're gonna do this, and like he pumps you up, and like he just kind of, he always kind of kicks you, like just to get you in gear, okay, like where you're just all in. And it's kind of a combination of like a sense of certainty, like where you you can do something, and at the same time there's no fear, no pressure, because, and that's like when you see all these other people walk across the coals, it really sort of helps you to believe more in yourself, right? Because when you're the first one and no one's there, you see those hot coals, you're kind of, oh my gosh, right? But when you've seen other people walk over it, hundreds of them, just kind of go and go, you're like, well, I mean, I'm a human too, like, that person is not any different than I am. So it helps you to solidify like that sense of certainty, and also it decreases the fear, which allows you to enter more of a flow state, and you just kind of go for it. And it's like it's kind of similar as on the tennis court as well, just maybe not as hyped up.
Yeah. No, I was kind of thinking about that in bungee jumping. You're over in New Zealand off those big bungee jumps. You're going hundreds of feet, in the air. You got to be, thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, and I have faith in the bungee that it's going to hold. You got to have faith in your feet that they're not going to get burned, and you got to. That's really interesting. I'm really fascinated by. We've never had this come up in 105 podcasts. A fire walker. I think we're going to do that, aren't we, AJ?
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
And bungee jump. Same day.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Hey, where'd you do that? Just out of curiosity.
In Chicago. Where?
Yeah.
In Chicago as well. It was at some center at I'm not sure exactly, but
did some of your
remember, but in Chicago. Yeah.
Did some of your teammates and your wonderful coach Matt go with you on that one?
No, it was just me actually. It was the first year I was there. I was a sophomore, I think, and it was quite expensive for me at the time. But I managed to I really wanted to go because he was the guy who worked with Andrew Agassi, Serena Williams, and whatnot. And I was I want to learn from this guy. This is the guy. If I want to master mindset, so I always want to go to the best. And I learned a ton, and I was super excited. But it was funny actually because to be really transparent with you guys is I came back, I felt super empowered, but I didn't really make a transformation, even though I was there for 4 days and I learned a ton, right? Yesterday, actually, I had a chat with a woman who reached out to me, and she learned, she read all of these books and she knew so much, but she didn't really have a transformation. And that's actually, I think, what they mentioned at the event as well. Sometimes you get all hyped up and I can do this, you walked over those hot coals and I'm on top of the world and I can do anything. That's kind of how I felt, right? And then you also don't really feel I don't need a coach or anyone. I can do anything, right? So, but then you kind of go back and then the old patterns and the subconscious patterns kind of take over. In order to make a transformation, you need consistent repetition and some guidance as well, when things get unclear. So that's also what I realized a little bit after, but you learn through mistakes and failures. So that it took me a couple of years to figure that out. But
Nathan, I love your transparency and your humility, but I do want to add, your coach told me this morning that fairly quickly you worked so hard, not just on your mind, but everything you did on the court and off the court, that you went pretty quickly from number 4 to number 1 on the team, and you probably deserved Big East honors, not just Player of the Week, but Player of the Year one year, and he felt like you were right there. So thanks for the humility, but I wanted to mention to the people, he's not just all humble. The kid's got the man's got serious game, and he used this mindset. I can feel it.
Thanks,
yeah. I'm fired up right now. I'm ready to go. Let's go walk on some fire.
It is cold. It's cold outside. I'm building a fire tonight anyway.
Okay.
I think this is happening. I think this is happening, buddy.
I'm coming. I'm ready. I'm getting geared up. Nathan's got me fired up on this already. Anybody else at this dinner? This is great. Tony Robbins right there, and Nathan. And
Tony, Roger, and Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, I was going to say Nathan Mandela, but that's not Nathan. Freudian slip. Anybody else, just out of curiosity?
Kobe Bryant comes to mind.
Okay.
Amazing.
I would love to. I think his mindset is awesome as well, just as an athlete and just his perspective and all the things, Unfortunately, he's gone out, but just, phenomenal athlete. Gosh, who else comes to mind?
That's a great quartet. Nelson, Kobe, Roger, Tony.
No Rafa? What about Rafa?
Why not, right? I wouldn't say no if he was like, hey, can I join? I wouldn't be like, nah.
Well, what about it, Rafa? Would you like to be at this dinner with Tony?
Nathan, I would be honored to accept your invitation. No, I'm going to work hard to earn the right. And I come up, I bring some fish, no?
From Mallorca fish, right?
Yes. Some seafood, no?
Seafood.
For Nathan, yes.
There we go. Well, good. That's a good soiree right there. Now, what are you going to serve? Just real quick, is it a traditional, food that you might find in Amsterdam, or what would you just serve? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, I don't really think we have that. Our food is that good, to be honest. Probably just like some potatoes with some vegetables and. A meatball, something like that.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, I'm coming over.
Yeah.
I can be over there in about 10 hours. So we'll have that for breakfast. All right, mountains or beach? Are you a mountain fan or a beach fan? More of a mountain guy, beach guy?
Ooh, I like both a lot, actually. I think let's go for mountain.
Mountains, okay. Now, the mountains that more like European, like the Swiss Alps, or would you say more maybe in the Colorado area? I don't know if you ever traveled over to the Rockies over in the United States.
I would love to visit. there. I've been in the Alps, but I would love to go over there and to see it. I've seen some beautiful pictures, and I just love nature. So yeah.
Yeah. Mountains like wintertime or summertime, or both?
Ooh, I love skiing. So I guess I got to go with skiing. I love summer too. I love mountains, but I think skiing is probably my second favorite sport. So
have you got your skis all waxed up already, ready to go? Or because it's ski season pretty soon, or if it's not already.
Yeah, just like due to the COVID situation, we probably are not going to go this year. Usually I tend to go like when we can, but just going to be patient. So I can visualize myself skiing. So.
Well, just out of curiosity, where's your favorite place to ski in Europe?
The Swiss Alps are great. In Switzerland, in Austria, that's where I've been. There.
Yep. So, are you a black diamond, or are you like me? Like I hit the bunny slopes pretty good.
You mean like with the black diamond, like
the very advanced
bumps?
The expert.
advanced slopes, moguls.
Yeah, I like to challenge myself a little bit, and sometimes go, like do some crazy things. Just go for jumps, go fast. I got to be careful also as a tennis player, but I like to kind of, just go to the edge and challenge myself. So whether it's speed or jumps and things like that. So
would you do ski jumping? Would you go, the 90 meters? Would you do that?
Ooh, that's a big one.
You've walked on fire.
Thing as well, because you're flying. You can't be too scared when you do that because you will lose all your balance. That's a big jump, maybe if one day.
I know you said you challenged yourself on the walk of fire. I figured you might challenge yourself on the big ski jump, like all the Norwegians do. Seems like that's where the ski jumping
that's right.
capital. Finland, Norway,
Finns,
the Swedes, up there, Germans. Those people. But they've been doing that since they were about like 2 years old, I think. Typically, that's
true.
I watched that movie Eddie the Eagle.
Eddie, the British guy, yeah.
That was kind of interesting. I don't know if I'd do that. That's kind of you got to have some cojones, as they say in Spanish. The word that would not be. I'd rather walk on fire, I think, than go down a ski jump. I don't. What about you? Would you?
I think fire.
Fire. Take the fire. Yeah. All right. Favorite season? Are you a summer, fall, winter, spring?
Summer.
Summer? Okay.
Summer.
Some are in the mountains. Some are at the beach. Just summer.
At the beach.
At the beach. Okay. They're in Amsterdam. Do you have a beach that you can go to, kind of close by?
Yeah, we have a beach. It's funny because like here, the distance, I think you can get there in like half an hour. And in the US, that's like 1 minute. But over here, it's it's a decent amount. But yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah. So.
What do you like to do in your spare moment when you have a spare moment?
Just like to meditate, actually. Just like to, and I like to read. Just kind of chill. I don't have a lot of spare moments. I like to stay busy, to be honest. With tennis and coaching and just learning things. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, now I'm going to round it over to the third set. We're rounding the stretch here. Indoor tennis or outdoor tennis?
Indoor.
Indoor? On hard? Clay? Indoor hard?
On a hard.
Hard. Okay, so you got a big serve. You must be able to bomb it.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Oh.
I don't. I'm not as tall. I like to take the balls early and to use pretty quick and move on the court. So I like to use the speed of the opponent, and I'm not as big of a fan as the clay and grind as much. Even though I love being outside in the sun, I love hardcore indoors, US.
Right. What's your favorite tournament?
Favorite tournament? Ooh.
And it could be one you played in, or maybe that you watch or been to. So it doesn't have to be, something that like Wimbledon, or maybe a tournament in Europe. It could be
Rotterdam.
Maybe one you played in, that you've enjoyed.
I think the Australian Open.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Have you been down there?
No, I haven't. No, I have not. Hopefully one day.
Yeah, it's coming up just in about
3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I think I could see him down there.
I could. He loves the sun too. Who are your early picks for the Australian Open this year in women's singles and men's singles?
I think Djokovic is not playing as far as I'm aware of, right?
He is technically on the. This is one of those mysterious things. He's on the entry list.
Yes,
but nobody knows if he's vaccinated or going.
He won't give the status of his vaccine.
I have a feeling he's not playing, but I might be wrong. Who knows? I think I would like to see Zverev win, or I would, I appreciate, or I just respect everything he's done in his last year, especially at the Master Series, at the finals there. He showed some real mental toughness in the semis and the finals. He played unreal, and I think he deserves it, or just from all the work he's been putting in. But I think he's a good shot. Or let's see, on the women's side, is Ashley Barty, she's playing, right?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she is. Let's go for Ashley Barty.
Yeah. So Novak, are you going to be playing?
It's a good question, Craig. I will bring all my 65 fans with me. I will pour my heart to all four corners of the stadium, and it's going to be tough. I'll make the decision when the time comes.
We had Novak. You didn't know you'd have Novak on the podcast, did you?
No, Rafa, Novak, they all come out of the blues. Love it.
Amazing. Star-studded podcast today.
Nikki, are you going to be playing there? Nikki kicks. Nikki might be there, right?
Mate, you call yourself a journalist. Piss off. Next question, mate. Bro, come on.
You like to watch tennis on TV?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I watch it often if I can.
Yeah, do you? Some people do. Do you let your mind kind of watch the match, or do you have to analyze the match? Because I like.
Yeah, do you watch it as a fan or as a professional?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. I guess as a player and as a coach, like I love to, I always love the mindset side as well, like how to deal with challenges, how to stay present, how to deal with everything and whatnot. But also at the same time, I just love to learn, like, hey, like what are they improving on, like what are they working on, and just seeing even for my own game what I can improve upon.
So I assume that your favorite tennis player is Roger. Do you have a favorite player, maybe even from way back in the day, Tom Ocker?
Richard Krajicek, maybe?
Richard Krajicek. Sheng Shalkin.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, that was a little bit before my time, I have to be honest. I'm not. But
yeah, Nathan, I think you were 2 years old when Krajicek won Wimbledon.
Right.
You're right. That's very accurate. Yeah.
That was amazing. Yeah. I love that guy's game.
Anybody?
I loved when I was younger. It was Leighton Hewitt, actually. Really? Yeah. I guess he was kind of my game style, like just making a lot of balls, just being a fighter out there, just being mentally tough, and I guess I've had some other players that I enjoyed as well. But I guess that was sort of the first ones. Yeah.
Paul Harhoos was Paul.
Oh, he's a Dutchman. Yeah, he's about my age.
Yeah, see, look at that. Yeah, I'm just not another pretty
stuff,
face,
buddy. You are not.
I bring him major fastball today.
That's good.
As a mental expert, do you have any superstitions or rituals that you do on the court? Do you like bounce the ball 5 times and then 3 times, or walk back and touch? Do you do like Rafa and touch your nose and your pick around?
So I'll share my secret with you guys.
Do it.
No, it's just I guess I maybe have some tendencies where maybe I skip a line sometimes. I guess like Rafa does, when you walk over a line, or sometimes when you bounce the ball 3 times on a second serve or like whatever. So I guess sometimes I can do it, but I'm not like too worried about it. Like I notice as well, it's like. It's I've learned that it's important not to be too dependent on a certain things, right? So because again, you place more importance. I need to do this in order to perform. Then again, immediately, you're playing, you're putting too much a sense of pressure on yourself. Whereas if it's nice to have some routines because it allows you to not be having to think about it. So I guess I have some routines. I guess in a changeover, what I've been using is a notebook as well for myself, just to kind of keep track of what I'm working on, what I focus on as well. Just to get the most out of it.
All right, so we're rounding the corner of the 4th leg here. Got just a couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. We really appreciate your time. What sport would you have played if it wasn't tennis? I have an idea, but if you really wouldn't have been, you're really more known in the tennis world now. Would it be skiing or soccer, or what would you be doing?
It was funny because when I was younger, I loved to play an instrument, but at the same time, I loved to dance, like street dance, kind of stuff like that. I never really got the chance to, actually, because I was just so busy with tennis and soccer, and my parents were already going nuts about having to drive me everywhere when I was that young. But I think I loved skiing as well. I did not grow up in a country because it's super flat in the Netherlands. So I probably would have gone with soccer, I guess.
So freestyle dancing. So you just go out in the village, square and just start, throwing some moves out.
Maybe. Who knows if I wouldn't have played tennis.
So speaking of this, if you wouldn't have been involved in sports, what do you think you'd be doing right now? So you wipe all this tennis out, soccer, sports, and that kind of stuff. What would Nathan DeVere be doing right now, do you think?
What I would be doing? For sure something with the mental and performance side, maybe even more spiritual side as well, to just to help make a difference for people, especially in these times right now. Things might even become more challenging, and just really help help make a difference for people and just continue to work on myself. Like personal development has been such a big passion for me, and it's just such an awesome journey once you really learn to understand how your mind really works and how to free yourself of all the limitations, insecurities, and patterns, and just start really just being yourself more and just unlock the potential and just live life how you want to live it. And that's just, I'm still on my path and I'm far from perfect. I'm still working on so many things, and that's something I love to help others with. So right now it's in tennis, but I would love to do it in other areas as well. So.
Yeah, well, great answer. Last question, all right, then we'll let you go. If you're the commissioner of the great game and you had the magic wand for tennis, would you make any changes? Is there anything that Commissioner DeVere would do with the game of tennis, or just leave it alone?
Ooh. I love what they introduced. Was it last year or the year before at the next gen ATP finals, like where they had with you guys, like where they had the headsets and they were talking like in the changeovers, like oh my gosh, this guy's playing so well, I don't know what to do, or like they're just sharing their thoughts and you can actually know what's going on inside of them. Because like you see the players, but it's funny because like in college, like you see all these players get super pumped and super sort of excited. But then like at the pro level, like especially like the best ones, like they learn how to be in the zone and they're kind of just more quiet. Even like Rafa and Djokovic are just becoming just more calm, especially when it matters most, like in the finals of Grand Slams. Like you can observe this actually. It's super interesting to see. But it's interesting to know what's actually happening inside of their head, right? So I think that would be an awesome thing to add to professional tennis and maybe even like to college tennis as well. It's something that they could send out to the fans, like where they can watch on a live stream. I love what they have done, like with UTR, which I just played, where they have all the live streams, and I guess if you could even combine that with some type of coaching or with something like that, where the audience gets engaged as well, I think that would add like another level to the game.
So you're a fan of on-court coaching. I like it, like the women.
I think it's on one hand, I like the fact that you have to do it your own. Like it's like really sort of your responsibility. You have to figure it out your own, which is a big challenge. At the same time, I think it's also just nice for just the fans and the supporters and the people who are watching, kind of like to see what's happening. And I guess also like for the coach, like to be involved as well, and for the player to learn. So maybe I like what they do, like with the women's, like where I think it's after a set or so, or what is it? You can ask your coach once or twice in the court or so. So something like that.
Yeah, great answer. So that's Nathan. One more time, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, if you you can email me at nathandevere@gmail.com. And again, feel free to email me with at the Net Podcast with your name, and I'm happy to send you over the test and give you some personalized feedback. Or you can go to my Instagram at tennis mindset coach.
Nathan, you've been a joy to have on the show. Thank you so much for spending the evening with us. Thank you.
Yeah, Nathan, that's thanks for reaching out. You were the one that reached out to us.
I did.
Yeah, no, I remember. I remember talking with you, and I was really excited that we have somebody that might be able to help AJ out. Because he has all these voices that going on in his head. And you think you could help Andy Murray? Maybe, Andy, do you think he could help you?
It's great. I'd love to learn as much as I can from Nathan. You can tell by the sound of my voice, I'm very enthusiastic about being more joyful on a tennis court. I'll be emailing you, Nathan.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, Nathan, have a great night. We know that's what time over there? You're about 7 hours ahead of us?
Yeah, it's got to be almost 11 p.m. over there.
About time to...
Yeah, it's 10:42.
Meaning...
I really...
almost 23. Almost 23 over there.
Right.
It is, yeah.
Right. Well, thanks for your time. You've been a real pleasure. It's been our honor to have you out there. So, we appreciate, your vibe and all that you bring to the game and continued success. And we look forward to talking with you, further. And hopefully, we might be able to get you back on the podcast for round 2. How's that?
Yeah, I would love to. I really enjoyed it, guys. And maybe for a second time.
Okay, good. Well, congratulations and continued success in your career. And I know we're going to be hearing about Nathan DeVere in the future as well. Maybe even on the tour with some of the players out there on the women's side or the men's side. So, good luck with that.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, guys. All
right, take care.
Thanks, bud. Take care.
Great guest, wasn't it?
Good
Was that
stuff.
Fun?
We enjoyed that. I learned a lot, and.
Yes.
I can't wait to use some of the stuff, and I'll be emailing him tonight. And I hope folks at home, I hope you do too.
Yeah, no, I definitely. It got me thinking about some of the ladies that I work with, some of the teams, and I'm definitely going to be, working that little bit of twist and tweak, not necessarily from the physical side, but from the mental side also.
For sure.
In the future. So
more important than ever.
Yep. So all right, let's we'll sign off here with the great James Scott Campbell. Right.
Rock and roll.
All right, thanks for listening to Season 1, Episode 105 of At the Net Podcast. Join us in 3 weeks. We're actually going to be off for a couple of weeks, so we got Christmas and
Craig Bell's birthday.
Oh, that's a national holiday.
That's a national holiday.
and then, so in 3 weeks, we'll be talking with Ramona Husaru from Romania.
Yeah, a Romanian who works here in Florida, yeah.
That's right. She's the director of education. Do you have education?
I don't, but somehow I'm the education chair of the USPATA Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
I call it education.
I love education, yes. Yeah, for sure.
We're talking with Ramona on January the 9th. Also, every once in a while we get over on Instagram and do kind of a similar thing on Wednesday nights called Tennis Shorts, right?
Tennis Shorts, so watch for that.
Yep.
We'll be off this week, but back on in the new year for sure.
Yeah, so also... lastly, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook. We have a new page over there. It's called ATNP with AJC and CB1. We're sorry we had to go back over there and kind of
It's good, though.
rebrand.
We have a positive mindset about rebranding, and come see us over on Facebook or Instagram at The Net Talk Show.
And YouTube as well. So
YouTube.
All the places where the kids find popular, right?
Absolutely.
Plus, also be sure to tell a friend or friends, as we want them to be net heads, just like you, because we like peeps, don't we?
We do. We like your peeps. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, and we'll see you soon at the net.
Yep, and that's the tennis news as it seems to us. Good afternoon from Dallas, Texas, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.